Right, and the chest pains, as I understand it, was relatively recently, early last winter, or in the middle of November, December. When was that?
I think it was sometime between August, September.
Oh, okay.
I don't really remember the month, but
that long ago.
Right, it wasn't that long ago. No.
No, was that in Coleman, the chest pains?
Yeah.
Okay, so Tallahassee was subsequent to that. Okay, well, we're starting to piece it together. You're seeing her moved. You're only finding out on the BOP.gov, that's Bureau of Prisons, BOP.gov website. And ladies and gentlemen, you can look up any prison or inmate, enter it by name and some other characteristics. And you can find Elaine Brown, another tax prisoner or political prisoner who's in FMC Carswell near Fort Worth, Texas. She got 35 years. And anything you want to know, and you can see by going to that website the complexity and really the vastness of the federal prison system. It's quite a thing to behold for those who haven't looked through it. And at any rate, this is how Colin found out. So you find out through this backdoor channel that she had severe chest pains, was rushed to an outside hospital outside the prison?
Yes, it was an outside hospital outside of the prison.
So she actually leaves the Coleman facility with chest pains, and you don't even know about it, except for finding out through this channel that was set up, this network. And then you have a situation where she's moved from one prison to another. You're not really surprised that you're not told ahead of time, but you're not even told afterwards until you check this BOP.gov website. And so, that's strange right there. That obviously could have been, and obviously was, somewhat a life-threatening situation, severe chest pains, so severe that they have to go beyond their own medical facilities in the prison and actually go outside of their own facility. So it couldn't have been too routine. Now, was there any other health problems besides the chest pains?
Well, when she went to the hospital, they diagnosed her as having a hyperactive thyroid that caused her heart rate to speed up. Okay. So what they did was gave her medications to slow down her heart rate and to monitor or regulate her thyroid.
Have those chest pains stopped, as you understand it?
They come and go, and I can tell you why. The medication that they gave her, or the dosage was, we found out later on, was too strong. Because what it did was slowed her thyroid down too much, where she had a hypoactive thyroid. And her neck began to swell, her lips turned very dark, she had blood in her stool, so she was starting to have very severe problems.
So it overcompensated and slowed her thyroid down to where you get sort of a gout.
Right.
I believe gout is one of the things you can get from a slow thyroid, and if that's wrong, I apologize for demolishing basic medical knowledge, but I have heard of that being a potential symptom of the thyroid being too slow. So they, in essence, over-medicated her or did it wrongly in whatever manner. So that comes and goes. Does she describe, or is she able to describe in much detail what the Tallahassee facility is like compared to Coleman? Has that improved her lot? Is it a better facility? Is it less restrictive, or is it the same level of security?
Well, for her, it's much less restrictive, and the reason is, for some reasons that are beyond my understanding and comprehension, is that they placed her in the SHU, what they call the SHU, S-H-U. It stands for Solitary Holding Unit. So they placed her in confinement.
Solitary confinement in Tallahassee, which is otherwise a less restrictive prison overall, but they put her in the SHU, S-H-U, in Tallahassee. So she's still kind of got the worst room in the hotel, you might say.
Right. While she's in the SHU, she's only allowed 3 showers per week. She's only allowed I'm sorry?
I said, oh, hey, I said 3 a week. That's not very good. Go on.
She has to remain in her cell almost 24 hours a day, and she can only make 1 phone call per week.
Whereas it used to be a phone call maybe every 3 days in Coleman?
Well, she used to make phone calls every day pretty much, but I would hear from her every other day. She would call me every other day, but she would call other people during the other days.
So was she ever in solitary confinement in Coleman, or did that only happen starting in Tallahassee?
That just recently happened here in Tallahassee.
So
there in Tallahassee.
She's went from more frequent phone calls to less frequent phone calls. We know that she was incommunicado from December 17th to January 6th. She's went from better health to worse health, a hyperactive thyroid. She had chest pain. She was taken from the facility. I believe you said it was Coleman when she had the chest pains,
right,
and left there. So her health bounced back a little, but those chest pains and that high heart rate tends to recur. But she's went from perhaps a more roomy cell that was not solitary confinement in Coleman now to solitary confinement, the SHU in Tallahassee. So we have worse health, although it bounced back a little. We have less frequent phone calls to home, and we have a more restrictive cell, basically solitary confinement, only allowed to make a call once a week now, but you just experienced a 3-week hiatus, all calls cut off. You didn't know she was moved till after the fact, and you had to find out through the back door, through this prisoners network, and by checking the BOP.gov website. I'm kind of summarizing here. But, we're not looking at someone, even if you were a true blue servile believer, just the goose stepping in agreement with the federal income tax, that is your solemn duty to pay that tax. It's very odd that someone accused of failing to file or whatever exactly she was put away for, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. It's very odd that they would put someone like that who has never threatened or harmed life and limb, who's never committed even a property crime, who wasn't dealing in hard drugs, who just disagreed with a law, that they would put her in solitary confinement, because you would think that would be for someone who posed a physical threat to others.
Right. Well, they said it was for the protection of the prison.
The protection of the prison?
That was what she told me that they told her.
And just exactly what would Sherry Jackson do to threaten the prison? The mind reels at even contemplating how she could possibly be a threat to these prisons, these virtual concentration camps, since I believe she's essentially a political prisoner. We'll get into that political prisoner question and a little